Hello, everyone. I'm coming on here live to have a conversation with the lovely Andrea. I think she's having some technical difficulties with the internet, so I'm just going to wait and see if she hops back on. And we're going to chat and just talk about what we do in the field of healing arts. How is everyone feeling today? While we wait, I would love to just share a little sound healing and a little Reiki with you. So just take some deep breaths. She's back. Okay, we will do this in a minute. Hold on. We're back. I think the internet was unstable or something.
Yeah, something happened, but we're back.
We're back.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you pronounce your last name Waleska?
That's actually my name, Andrea Valeska. My last names are Fernandez Duran, but I go by my.
Oh, okay, so Andrea. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you're feeling grounded after the new moon. I love that.
Yeah, June has been a really interesting month of beautiful, unexpected changes and embracing them all right now. And also being able to be in ceremony and reconnecting with my path has been something in the past few weeks. So it's a lot going on, but at the same time feeling really grounded and really guided. So,
Yes.
how about
And
you?
thank you. I'm so happy that you're feeling that way. And thank you for inviting me to explore maybe coming to Colorado and sitting in sacred ceremony together. Um, I have been really working on, how do I say? I've been on a fertility journey and just working on really calming my nervous system. And so the medicine was telling me, no, I just need to kind of like
Yes.
be really gentle with myself right now and just not, now's not the time. But yeah, I'd love to hear more about what you're up to and how the plants have influenced you and just anything that you want to share.
Mm, sure. Wow. It's challenging to put it into words, but it has been a beautiful journey of self-discovery and liberation, not only from my own path and karmic attachment or karmic knots from previous lifetimes or from my lineage, right, from my ancestral lineage, but it also has been a liberation in so many other aspects. It has been like a reclamation of true identity, of coming back to my most authentic self and to remember that and to also receiving clarity of my purpose and path in this lifetime at this time. So it's there's so many aspects and each ceremony is different, each experience is different, each plant is different, each 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 moon cycle is different while you are exploring this option. So it's very different each time. But if I have to share in a couple words, I would say that is freedom of coming back to myself and allow myself to explore joy and gentleness in this life and to feel safe in my body, in my surrender, in my environment, and in my path.
Yeah. Freedom is like freedom. I feel like freedom encompasses everything that we're here to uncover and explore
Yes.
and enjoy.
Yes. Which is so aligned with the power of love, right? Um, and love as a frequency, not just love as this emotion that is related with couples and relation and love in relationship, but beyond that, to see love as a frequency, as a vibration, a high vibration that it calls in us to walk in integrity, to walk in authenticity, um, to be true to ourselves, pretty much. So it has been a beautiful, beautiful path of many, many, many years now, a little bit over a decade. So very exciting.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm curious because a lot of my soul mission and purpose and work development was revealed to me in ceremony. Uh,
Hmm.
and you mentioned that you received more clarity around your purpose
Mhm.
and ceremony. So I'm wondering what that was like for you, what was revealed to you, and what action have you taken to
Hmm.
align yourself to that path?
Wow. This past ceremony or from the very, very, very beginning?
Whatever you feel like
Wow.
sharing.
Um, mm, wow. So I was since a very young age, I was connected with the spiritual world, and I grew up in an environment, in a very unstable environment, or in a very abusive environment. And so my connection was with the other realm. That's when I felt safe. That was somehow my own, as a child, my own mechanism of protection, of connection to
Full
connect.
body chills.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it
I really
happens
feel
for many
that.
people. Usually, trauma activates psychic gifts, right? So um, many people who have going through very challenging high childhoods usually are connected to the other realm as well. So and they may forget, they may have experience that they forget. I see that a lot in clients, and that is this calling and this pulling to remember, but they don't know how, right? And as a child, I didn't have the support or that guidance. So I call the connection imaginary friends, right? Or I will go through a whole emotional roller coaster in my body because I was processing what my parents couldn't process. So I was um, by the adults who also carried the trauma, who were around, surrounded me, didn't understand that, so they will judge the emotional body. So at a very young age, I knew there was something beyond, and I always felt connected to it. But then at the age of 15, 16, I was diagnosed with a hormonal imbalance, and I was diagnosed with the pill. And I started taking the pill for a very long time, and I feel that's when I disconnected. That's when I disconnected from my womb. I wasn't, because the pill prevents ovulation, so I wasn't connected with my womb, with my power, the center of power of all women, right? And in that process of teenagers here, right? I disconnected in a way that um, my own life pulled me back into it without me knowing what it was happening. And then at the age of 23, I left to come to the US. And I saw when I came to the US that there was a different way of living. And I always express it as I was so surrounded by trauma that is almost like telling a fish about water. You don't know what you don't know, right? You're so surrounded by it that you don't know that it's a different way. And for me, removing myself from from my home country and the environment that I grew up, it helped me to have an opportunity to see a different perspective.
Where
And
did
with
you grow
that,
up?
I grew up in the south of Chile, in the Bio region, a place called Concepcion.
South of Chile. Okay.
South of Chile. Yeah. And in that process of remembering. I start remembering what it was, what was my experience as a child of that connection with spirit guides and that connection with the other realm. My path called me back, right? And I got very sick. And usually that happened when somebody reject their path, or they are not ready just for their path. Somehow there is something that happened, right? There is a balance of the body that it calls back that reconnection. And I went through depression, suicidal ideation, anxiety, panic attack. And at the same time I left, I started taking the pills. So I thought at the time that it was a hormonal imbalance, like just a hormonal roller coaster. But it lasted for a long time. And I didn't know what I didn't know at the moment. So I didn't know that was the calling, right? The calling of my soul to remember to crumble everything, to take up almost everything away, to just be put in a circumstance where I have no other option but go inward. And in that process, I start calling in opportunities to heal my womb, to heal my hormones. And with that, I find out about a medicine called peyote, which is a very masculine medicine. And years later, I was very fortunate and lucky to be in ceremony with the Arapaho tribe here in the north, in Wyoming, in the reservation. And with that, opened up a whole another level of remembering and reconnecting with my roots, and reconnecting with my ancestors, and reconnecting with my lineage, and reconnected with my indigenous lineage, and to really reconnect with the path. Because usually we all carry this path, right? And when there is somebody who is being called to be the cycle breaker, or to be the one who does things differently, it is a path that it has been passed down through generation to generation to generation, but it has jumped many generations. So through sitting in that medicine for a few years, for about many years, I was calling to reconnect to that, and to embrace the path, and to embrace my path, and to embrace my own calling, and to also putting the pieces together. You can only connect the dots back, right? So it was an opportunity for me to put the pieces together of what was happening in childhood, and to really understand, oh wow, this was the guidance all along from my ancestors, calling me in to step into the path. That by the time that they were here, it wasn't safe, or it wasn't enough time. So I was able to even reconnect to my grandfather from my mother's side, mother, who died at a very young age. And my grandfather was 8, and he was put in an orphanage. And that's where the disconnection happened of the path, right? So while I was doing my healing of my own womb, thinking that I was healing myself, right? That I was going through that process of healing from my own womb, I realized what it was happening through me. It was the healing of the empowerment of the feminine, that it has been for a very long time in my lineage diminished, or there has been a lot of abuse toward the woman. And in that process, I start remembering it, and I start reconnecting with my own body, with my own intuition, with my own path, my own voice as well, and to really get to know who I was, which is really interesting, because I didn't know what I didn't know. And often medicine always show you what you're ready to see, or what you're ready to work on. And I didn't know where the medicine would take me, because I went with an intention of only my womb and my physical body. And little did I know that it would expand me to much more than that. And after years of working with the medicine, I also decided to apply for a study that it was happening with MDMA. which is not a plant medicine, is psychedelic, is a lab created medicine. However, it's a really, really, really powerful medicine that it works in the amygdala of the brain that allows you to go through the trauma in a way that is not re-traumatizing to the body. And after that, and after having that experience, and in between that, my mother had a stroke, and I feel that created a big shift in my life. She came back from death. She had a near death experience, and in that experience, she saw my grandfather and my great grandmother, right? And then she came back. She decided to come back, and since then, everything shifted. And then I started with assisted therapy with MDMA, which opened at a whole nother level of recalibrating my nervous system and really trust love, and to recognize love in a different frequency, to meet love in a different frequency. And that prepared me to eventually sit with grandmother ayahuasca. And that has been a whole nother beautiful experience, because that's the feminine energy. Peyote was the masculine energy. Ayahuasca is a feminine energy, is the mother, right? It's Mother Nature, it's the great mother. And that has been a beautiful experiences of remembering what it means to be a woman. And being a woman, it is a calling to be strong and at the same time to be soft. And something that I didn't understand when I was little, right? I thought when I was little that being a woman meant weakness. So I rejected that part of myself. And then in teenagers year, I became super tough. So I thought that a tough woman, it was be a woman that will protect themselves. And now as an adult, it is neither, right? Is women are really strong, but they're also very gentle. You know, they're very soft. And it's between those two what it means to be a woman, right? And in that same process of discovering, I received the remembering of my path and what I was here to do. Even though I went to school, I went to grad school, and I got many degrees, and I was doing the whole Western thing that I thought it was my path, but it wasn't my path, right? And I learned many skills that now I use in my path, and I connect the dots back that it was what it was meant to be. But the path keeps calling you in. It keeps calling you in and keeps calling you in, and I'm sure it's the same for you. And yeah, that's in a nutshell what I can share.
Wow. Yeah. I'm so happy for you that you found so much healing. And so what are you up to now, as far as, like you said, you went down that path, the higher education, you got the undergrad, the graduate degree. I really relate with that. I went down that path of like performing for love, and my whole reality was like programmed, and you know, science and math was seen as valuable in my family. My dad is an engineer and a mathematician, and so I went down this path of math, science, and technology, and business and finance, and then was realized I was completely off track. And making that shift of leaping out of like something that you've been in your whole life and brings you like the security of the things that come with that, you know, like the 401k and the health insurance and the things that you're like, oh, you can't not have that, you know. How have you shifted things, and are you working with other women to heal their trauma and their womb?
Yes. I also went to school for business and marketing and finances, and then nonprofit work with the grad school here in the US. And there is a connection with what we do now, right? Like as entrepreneurs, as those women being called to live from the heart and to live in integrity, right? I do truly believe that the wealth of the planet is shifted, and is shifting from the hands of the greed to the hands of those who are actually leading from the heart, and that we are co-creating the new earth. And these many indigenous tribe, many elders, many wise individuals have spoken about this time of then of a time to the beginning of a new time, right? And this is what we're experiencing right now, where all of these systems are um, dismantling, right? There is a calling to co-creating the new system, and there is a calling to change many systems that they are obsolete. One of them is the educational system, right? In the educational system, for example, we are being all put in the same bowl, or children are being put in the same bowl, and only by the score of whatever they rate and their grades, that determines what they're good, or they're good student or not, when in reality it's not a fair way to different type of personalities that all children have. So system like that they're very structured. I grew up under a military coup the first year of my life, so it was really structured. It was really, we every Monday we will sing to the flag, we will sing to the thing, like we wear uniforms, we had to be like this. It was really structured. So that usually diminish, or not diminish, but that usually put down a little bit the light of a child, right? Like that aliveness of the child, that just want to play, that just want to be creative, that just want to be, right? I often got in trouble growing up in school because I was always talking. I was always like, my classmate will come to me and they will talk to me, and I was always moving in different seats in the classroom because everybody wanted to talk. Now I work as a integrative a coach, as a woman empowerment and spiritual mentor. And what I do is talk. What do people come to me is to talk, right? So it makes sense that as a very young age, I already had those things, right? But I will get in trouble for it, right? Because I was too social growing up. When in reality, it was part of my path and my mission, and it's what I use today, right? My father was an entrepreneur while I was growing up, and I was I was surrounded about so he was an entrepreneur who would always bring cash to the home. Like he managed cash on a daily basis. So I would sit with him growing up and just play with money, and I would create my own little office. And while he was doing his own finances, I would do my own, right? And then eventually, when I was a teenager, I needed to go to school because I had no other option at the moment but to go to school. And I didn't know what I wanted to be. So I just went to business school, right? And thinking that eventually one day I wanted to become an entrepreneur so I can be very present with my own family. My mother worked a lot, so she was out many of the time. So I wanted to raise and be children and be present. So the only career that actually makes sense was that, right? And when I was in business school, I realized how the systems were really broken. And for example, when I was studying marketing back home in the university back home, I was taught that we need to satisfy the needs of the customer, right? It's marketing, right? Sales. When I was studying here, I was taught we need to create the needs of the customer to then satisfy them, which is a whole nother way to see marketing, right? And while I was going through my own healing process of my own hormones, I went into a rabbit hole, and I started, for example, seeing the female products that women use, like hygiene products or the pads that the women use, for example, those pads that the women use either for their menstruation or on a daily basis, those pads in the US, for example, there is no regulation that actually asks organization to disclaim what products are being used. And many women use pads who has fragrances who are really, really, really toxic and create a lot of hormonal imbalances and infections and many things, right? And there is no regulation. And when I went into that path, I started realizing, oh, this is why I studied business, so I could understand the brain of a business. But really seeing how the systems, some of them, or some of the products or services that are being out there are not really for the benefit of the people, but for the benefit of a few, right? And how, for example, working with different plant medicine, realizing that there are many people many women that I have seen too, especially in the Western corporate world, who are in a lot of antidepressants, who are in a lot of medication for anxiety, that they take medicine for everything, a pill for everything, right? And there is no judgment, but and it was what it works for them and what they think that is the only option. And this is what I became so passionate about, speaking about plant medicines, because there is a natural option for everything. And in that process, I also became an herbalist to create my own products and to heal my own self with natural organic herbs. And to speak about that, there are different options. And at the end is for the person who chooses, while is aware of the different options, instead of thinking that Western medicine is the only option, right? For example, with the pill, that was diagnosed to me of a male gynecologist, that it was my mom's gynecologist at the time, right? And he was a male. He will never understand my body. And all the love for the gynecologists who are males, because they have this beautiful calling to work with women, but they will never understand the female body because they're not a woman. They don't cycle like women. They don't go through the moon cycle. They are not ruled by the moon. They're ruled by the sun, right? And the sun comes down and up in a daily basis. The moon moves in 11 phases every single month, and that's how we are. And in that same rabbit hole, I started learning about the side effect of pills, the hormonal pills, for example, and how that can create depression and anxiety, and actually can create all of these hormonal imbalances that they never tell you, right? And how the pill also, for example, doesn't allow the woman to ovulate. And for the woman to have a cycle, it must ovulate. So when the person is in a pill and is menstruating, it's really no menstruation. It is just a chemical reaction of the brain that is creating that blood, but it's not really the menstruation.
So would you say if the woman isn't ovulating because she's on the pill, it's suppressing her natural connection to her feelings or her creativity? Is it like making you feel flat?
Definitely. And easy to control. Because she's out of her power. Because the woman power is in our womb. And when and even if we have or don't have our womb, right? There's some woman that goes through some challenging that they're being called to remove their womb. But we always have that womb, right? And that connection with our womb center, when a woman is so disconnected to their cycle and they see it as a bad thing, and they just want to get over to it in a monthly basis, the woman is disempowering themselves. And by that, is giving away their power. And when they're giving away their power, it's easy to control. Yeah. And a woman who is not ovulating, usually when a woman's ovulate, what it happens, it creates GABA in the brain. And GABA is what it makes a woman super loving and relaxed and like moms when they're pregnant, right? When woman is pregnant, she's full of progesterone, which is the hormone that creates the GABA in the brain, right? And progesterone is only created while we ovulate. So and you that you are in this path of wanting to conceive, right? This is why you gotta be always chill and relaxed, like allow your body, your nervous system to be really relaxed, so your body ovulates, so you can create healthy progesterone. And that progesterone create GABA in the brain, and so that way you're super loving and you want to make love with your partner, you really want to be, right? But what it happens that when a woman, for example, has high estrogen, which a lot of women do now because all of the chemicals that they are in the perfumes, detergent, lotion, makeup,
Deodorant.
the smell that people put in their homes, like that's full of fragrances. That what they do is they create a mimic to the brain of um, something similar to estrogen, but it's not estrogen. So the body starts creating a high level of estrogen. And when a woman have high level of estrogen, even if she has balanced progesterone, just because the way that they work, by having high estrogen, immediately the person will be with low progesterone, even if they have right progesterone, right? Many women, and the estrogen is connected with the liver because we as women supposed to release estrogen every day. Many women don't even go to the bathroom to do number 2. And that's how we release, right? Many women suffer constipation. So they're full of toxin, right? Full of estrogen that they are not putting out of their body. Their liver are not processing and putting it out. So it stays in the body, and that's accumulate with fat. And that's where usually women who have high estrogen also have challenging losing weight, and they become very irritating, and they became really upset, right? And when a woman is like that, is usually what it happened, and I'm a true believer that is the woman who set the tone of the home. So if a woman is irritated because her body is just making her to do that, right? Her relationship with her children, with her partners, are going to be somehow impacted by it, right? And that creates a whole other level. And this is how the manipulation and control, right, of system that they don't want the woman to be empowered. And this is why something that I discovered also is that many of the studies that they're done on, for example, the pill, they were never done for a long period of time because the system called the woman too complex to be part of the studies, because we menstruate, we rotate, we are cyclical beings, right? So the system called woman as complex. So many of the studies of all of the SSRIs or all of the pills, of all of medications are usually always done on male, not on woman. Yeah, because woman is
What?
complex, right? So it's crazy because when you start understanding and you start going into that remembering of what it means to be a woman and how important it is for a woman to connect with her body and her cycle and her own inner rhythm, the woman become more stubborn. And the woman starts choosing products that are good for her, good for her household, good for her partner, good for her children, and the woman starts getting their power back, right? And that's how I guide other women as well, right? And not only the body, but also in the spiritual world and the emotional body and the power of our thoughts. But there's so many things that they're not taught on the school, for example, right, to little girls. They're not back in the day, little girls, when they have their menarche, which is their first menstruation, there was a whole ceremony. There was a whole coming into you. Now you're a little girl, like you're not a little girl anymore, right? So that got lost. Many moms don't even know how to talk to their daughters this way. They're like ashamed. They don't even know how to bring it up, right? And that's really disempowerment for women. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yes. I was just talking to a client about a lot of this conversation this morning, there's no coincidence this is what we're end up talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, since you've done so much study on hormones and female power and coming into harmony and alignment, what do you think it, and also just like energetic healing and lineage healing,
Yeah.
what do you think it means? Is there something, is there some dots that I could connect? So, for example, I've always had a really short cycle, like
Okay.
around 21 days, you know,
Okay. Which
early
is
ovulation, super fast, like turnaround, and it causes, it, it's not ideal for conceiving. And also like it's terrible. It's like as a
how long
teenager,
is
a young woman,
that?
you're bleeding like every 3 weeks. It's like, what? And then the answer is, oh, we'll put you on birth control,
Mm,
which thank goodness I came off of that. I was on that pill from a very young age, like you. And I think that's when I also got lost and really disconnected from myself, right around the age of
yeah.
16.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Same.
yeah. And I never connected the dots. That's when things started getting really dark in my life around that time.
Yeah.
And so then I was on the pill, and I kind of forgot that I had this short cycle. Fast forward down the road, I ended up coming off of it
Mm.
because I had a blood clot, and birth control pills can
Mm.
cause blood
Can
clots.
create that exactly. Yeah. I
And it
had
was
a
a
few
blessing in
episodes.
disguise. The doctor was like,
Yeah.
no, we don't want you on the pill. And I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I can't be on the pill. But like, actually, it was a blessing in disguise because then
Yeah.
was off the pill for many, thank goodness, for a long time now.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is the short cycle about
How
energetically?
long does your moon last?
Around like 22 days.
No, the moon. Just the moon, not the sun.
Oh, probably like 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
So it's like
And
everything's rushed and going real
okay.
fast.
Is it abundant or is it not abundant?
It's pretty, I think yeah, it's like regular,
Regular.
abundant.
What is regular for you? That's the thing, right? Because once I met a woman who was bleeding for 14 days, and for her regular was 7 to 8, and that's a lot, right? So that's the thing, that we think that something is normal for us or irregular for us, but we don't know what we don't know, right? So usually cycles, a healthy cycle should last around 21 to 35 days. So in between is fine. Most
Okay.
school, most things tells you that it's 28 days, 29 days, but that's not truth. That's not true, right? That there are studies, many women who have actually drank the pill, went to school, became doctors, and now they're writing books about this, right? And they're teaching other women. So now there are more studies, now there are more books, now there's a lot of information over there, out there. And one of them is like to know that a cycle between 21 to 35 days is still normal, right?
Okay.
That's one thing. That's just your cycle, right? And also it will be connected with your own body type. It will be connected with the activities that you do. It will be connected with your under the moon that you were born. It will be connected the moon of your mother. It will be connected so many little things, right? But just know that normal, you're good, you're healthy, right? And
Interesting.
then
Yeah.
the moon, it should last between 3 to 7 days. If it lasts less than 3 days, is low progesterone.
Low
If
progesterone.
low progesterone. If it lasts more than 7 days, a high estrogen. When a woman is super abundant, that's too much estrogen, right? So when somebody has or when somebody is being called to create more progesterone, it is about relaxation. It is like really regulating your nervous system. It's like really doing breath work, taking it easy, moving it slowly, having a slow mornings, right? It's really like nurturing yourself, like pamper yourself, like really allow your body to be pampered and to relax. That will help you for your body for your brain, because at the end is the pituitary gland in the brain who manage all of our hormones. And cortisol is a hormone that it helps us to lower our stress level. So when we are stressed, our body is so intelligent and is so powerful that our body will always choose survival, right? To protect us. So if we are super stressed, the body, the
Pituitary?
gland
Yeah, you
will
just said
tell
it.
our body, right? Will tell our adrenal glands, create cortisol because we need to lower the body. Then we will create progesterone. Don't worry about progesterone now. We need to lower the stress level. So what can you do? You can work with your kidneys. The kidneys, the adrenal glands sit on top of the kidneys here in the back, so you can massage them. You can just relax and massage them, and you can talk to them, you know. And kidneys is also related with fear. So if we are afraid, we may not conceive. If we are afraid, what if I get pregnant and I lose the baby? Oh, if we're afraid, if I don't know, I run out of time. Whatever, all of those things are activating your kidneys, and with that, your adrenal glands, and with that, cortisol is coming out. So then the body's saying, we will do progesterone later on. This is why it's so important to relax, take bath with salt and lavender. Use clary sage as an essential oil that you can use in a daily basis. Clary sage can be put on the bottom of your foot every day with a little oil or something that you can mix it, and that will regulate your nervous system, your hormonal system. Using frankincense in your mouth a little bit, or lavender, right? Like really using this plant Alice to help you to calm your body, to really relax and to trust. And one of important message that for you is to trust that the baby that it wants to come through you, that baby is not counting your eggs, is not counting your where you are. That baby wants to come through because of who you are, right? And what your path is in this world. And the fact that you are so connected with that calling is one of the things that the medicine actually showed me. It was the children choose the parents, and when they're ready, they come. So also to trust that process. You take care of you, and to trust the process, that the intelligence of that being that wants to come through you will also help you to move through the process. So don't try to figure it out all on your own. Oh, I have to do this because if I don't do this, and again, you get stressed out. So then the body said, we will do progesterone later on, right? So you really want to relax.
Interesting. This really resonates.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because my bleed is pretty much 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like, well, I have a history of PTSD. Um, so I've lived most of my life in fight,
Survival. Yeah.
flight, or freeze,
Yeah.
which is how I ended up on this path of becoming a healing artist, was to heal myself.
Yeah.
Initially, I studied everything and I was just diving into everything, yoga and somatics and Reiki, to heal myself.
Mm-hmm.
And um, yeah, and relational trauma and getting into a new relationship after many, many years, after a decade of being pretty much single, getting out of like an abusive marriage, is activating a lot for me. Like I notice like my startle, I startle easily, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, this whole time I've been in this relationship, I'm like, ah, 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 ah,
Mm-hmm.
this is amazing. Oh my God, I need to cut and run, like
Yeah.
this, like freaking out the
Yeah.
whole freaking time.
Yeah. Which
Need to
is,
chill.
yeah. And offer self-compassion
Mm.
is super, super, super important, because one thing that most women do, and it's challenging to observe or to witness, is that women are so hard to themselves. And
Mm.
and and
Yes.
and they think that they had to figure it all on their own, and why did I react that way? Oh, why, if I shouldn't done that, if I shouldn't done this, right? But this is when we breathe and we come back to self-compassion, And we allow self-compassion to guide us because we don't know what we don't know, and our body is just reacting with what is familiar. And when we're teaching and putting our body into what is not familiar, when we grow up in traumatic environment, unconsciously your brain, your front face will try to protect you. So will self-sabotage situations because they feel so unfamiliar. Yes. Right? And this is when we use all of these practices, breath work, yoga, Reiki, everything that you already know, the tool of many resources that you have. Look, I'm getting chill on my body. The tools that you have learned throughout your whole life, that you have a box tool of many, many, many resources, right? This is when you apply them all in you and you feel worth it of it in a way that you're not fixing yourself, but you are just giving yourself what all of the lineage behind couldn't ever even imagine of. Because if you attracted in this lifetime a relationship that it was abusive, you were not the first one in your lineage, right? So in the pattern, who knows what your grandmother went through when your mom was pregnant with you, right? That in the generational, intergenerational trauma, right? There is codes, or there is way that we just react because it's just what our ancestors did, or we will just act this way just because they did it. So we are not even conscious of it. And this is where self-awareness comes in. And we start observing ourselves and we start saying, oh, okay, maybe, not from a place of judgment and not from a place of I shouldn't do that, but from a place of, oh, maybe if I do it this way next time, I offer self-compassion for not knowing better, but now that I am aware, now that I see it, I can choose a different path. I can choose a different thing. I can choose to remove myself. I can choose to go outside and take a deep breath. I can choose to don't talk to anybody. I can choose to whatever it is that it feels good for you to self-regulate your nervous system. Instead of beating yourself down because you did this or you did that, or you know what I mean? Because your body's just reacting to the mechanism of self-defense that created over time. And if we see it that way, it's a mechanism of self-defense. So it's helping you. Is somehow that's helping you. It may be self-sabotaging you some things, but it's helping you. So what do? You honor that part of you, and you open yourself to an opportunity to do it in a different way, without rejecting this part, without judging this part. It's just to honor and say, okay, that helped me back then. That helped me in my last relationship. That helped me when I was young. That helped me when I was a teenager. It no longer serves me. So I'm open for a new way of doing it. And then you make that choice. You know? But if we beat ourselves down and we self-criticize ourselves, we just keep repeating the pattern.
Yeah, shifting from like fixing yourself is so huge.
Yes.
And yes, there is a lot of trauma in my lineage, abuse, neglect, and you know, my grandmother was not nice to my mom. My great grandmother was not nice to my grandmother. So there's a lot of abuse from mother to daughter.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And if we look back, right, a mother, like if your great grandmother was hard in your grandmother, what does it say about her hormones, right? What does it say about what was happening with her body that she became bitter, right? When a woman hormones are imbalanced in a way that is the liver, right? Our liver is so important for everybody, but especially for a woman, right?
Yes.
And in many traditions, the liver is where, in the East tradition, is where the chi is connected, right? That's where the belly is. Belly? How do you say? The yellow thing that comes out when you...
Bile?
Bile, yes. That's where bile is created, right? So is our liver is very, very important, right? All of our organs are. But if a woman is mean, it's because probably she wasn't ovulating, right? She wasn't creating GABA in the brain, right? So her progesterone was low, and who knows how the rest of the hormones were, estrogen, testosterone, right? So here you are, 3 generations down, wanting to have a baby, and asking yourself, oh, okay, my cycle is this long. Okay, what is the calling? I had to do more progesterone. I have to create more. Not that you have to create. You have to take care of the environment for you to thrive in a way that your body is so relaxed to create that progesterone. Mm-hmm. And maybe your great grandmother didn't have that option, right? Couldn't. Back then, they had so many children. Back then, if we think of only a little bit over 100 years in the US, the woman can vote, for example.
Right. It's wild.
Right? It's wild. So for a person who is born a woman, not only we are healing and awakening and alchemizing and transmuting our our on path, but also in our own lineage, but also there is this stem that I often speak on women circles of what it means to be born a woman in this world. Because back then, before the patriarchy, women were leaders, women were so connected. When men went to war, for example, they went to the oracle, which usually was a woman who was really psychic, connected with a steam in their journey, right? And that she was connected and giving information or channeling information for the warriors to go and do their thing, right? Women were honored in a different way, right? Women were connected to their cycles. They used to moon together. They used to offer the moon to the earth, right? There were so many things. But then when the patriarchy happened, especially after World War II, right? Many men didn't come back, and the women were forced to leave their home to go into the forced work. And with that, there was a dismantling into the system, right, of the family system. Women no longer stayed at home. Now they had to go out and work because their men didn't come back, right? Mm-hmm. And that creates a lot of stress, especially if back then you have 10 children, 5 children, like so many children, like how are you going to provide with so many? So if the woman is so stressed out, it can become mean, and it can become really bitter. And they don't even realize the impact that they have in their children, right? And then they repeat the pattern. So your mother received that's the only thing that she knew was available. Like the fish, right? When you tell her you talk about water, and they don't know what water, right? They're surrounded by. So your mother was surrounded by, she didn't know better. So then she just repeat the same thing until you were born as a cycle breaker to say, okay, that doesn't feel good. I'm going to do it differently. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And also offering her compassion, but we can never give something that we don't have. So in order for us to offer compassion to others, before we got to be able to offer compassion to ourselves. So how can you offer compassion to your mother and grandmother if you're not offering compassion to you first, right? So by offering compassion to you first and knowing that, okay, these are mechanisms of defense, these are just my brain wired. And back then, when people didn't talk about neuroplasticity, right? Now we know about neuroplasticity. Now we know we can rewire our brain. Now we know that where we focus our energy is and intention goes. So, okay, so now I can redo this for myself, and I can focus on healing and love and Reiki and all the beautiful things that you do, right? That your mother and grandmother and great grandmother never had, right? So by offering that self-compassion, you can also see your mother as the little girl who grew up with a mother who was really rough, and then your grandmother, a little girl who grew up with a mother who was really rough, right? And to honor their path, and to honor their strength and their strength to move forward in a really patriarchal world, in a world where women were really valued, or were not really seen as a powerful, beautiful force where life comes through, right? Through this air. And and the systems as well, right? Women were not allowed to have bank accounts. Women were not allowed to go to school. When women were a possession just to have children back then, right? It wasn't so. So that's what our great grandmothers went through, right? So it's wild to even think that
So
only two,
wild.
3 generations back, yeah,
Yeah, it's just so wild.
yeah,
And and our generation, how things have changed so quickly, and information is being spread so quickly, and energy is accelerating, and we are breaking cycles. And the
yes,
yes, so and even it doesn't even matter if you're in healing arts as your, as your work or vocation, but women are awareness is shifting.
yeah,
And it's like, oh, I'm anchoring this frequency and
yeah,
this and healing out of being in that kind of forced toxic masculine
yeah,
way of being, and coming
yeah,
into this softer yet fierce boundaried,
yeah,
like this energy that's coming through. It feels like this fierce sacred rage bursts
yeah.
through, like this dark feminine, like no more, like commanding right order, like breathing fire, like letting the
Mm,
anger out,
mm,
and then landing back in this like true soft feminine, but she has a big fuck no
yeah,
and a big boundary.
yeah, yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And it's so beautiful, I said. And that sacred rage, right? If we think of, we all have feminine and masculine, and our feminine side is our left side of the body, who's ruled by the right brain, and our left brain rules the right side of the body, which is the masculine. And the right brain is all about the logic and the math and the structures and the things that has to be done in a good way, direction, action, right? The right side of the body is the emotional body, is the intuitive body, is the connection with arts and all of that, right? So the patriarchy didn't really embrace the right side of the body, right? Embrace only the
The
left side
right side of the brain. Yeah.
the left side of the brain, which is the feminine side, right? It didn't embrace it. Contrary, if a woman was too hysterical, like even if it goes so bad, and this is crazy, but when women have arousal, just by sexual arousal, back in the day, the doctors will introduce her like a vibrator to get the woman out of hysteria. Like the woman was having like the doctors back then used to think that women were going through a process that it was out of their control,
Mm.
and they will pretty much masturbate them with a vibrator for the woman to get out of their hysteria or their it's crazy, right? Their sacred rage. Women back then were not allowed to be angry, right? And like, oh, you're angry, oh, you're lunatic, you're crazy.
Yeah, put her in the hospital.
Exactly, exactly. If a woman can connect with that intuition, she was crazy. She was, so if we think, if we because if we forget the history, we repeat it. This is why it's so important to remember what women in our lineage of female have gone through and how much they have survived in order for us to be here, right? And to feel free to speak about this in internet right now, right? So honoring our both of our lineages, and thank you to all of those women who went through all of that, and their strength and resistance and resilience, because if a woman went through the motions, or even a man, if a man was emotional, that was looked bad, right? If a man was too emotional, oh, he wasn't a man, right? Like, it's crazy. Like, I grew up listening to men's don't cry, you gotta tough up, right? So it was pretty much shut down the right side of the brain as a society. And I believe now we are moving into the awakening of the feminine within all of us, not just the female, but the male too,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It is
Yes.
that awakening of the goddess within all of us. It's the comeback at the return of the goddess. This is why we're seeing a lot of women becoming more masculine and a lot of men becoming a lot more feminine, right? Is because the imbalance was so unbalanced that now it has to go to the other side of the pendulum to come back to equilibrium and really balance it, right? And the new earth, what we're co-creating, it is an earth that is balanced between male and woman as equal, right? Not as one better than the other. Both are important. Both have a say. Both have there is no procreation without male and a woman. Both are equally important, right? And 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 if we are aware of what women have to go through, even men have to go through because of their emotional body. There was not emotional intelligence back then. There was not even that topic, right? There
Right.
was no emotions are no good. We should shut them down. And when we are shutting down emotions, we're shutting down one of our bodies, which we have 10 bodies, right? And the emotions is our compass, is what it guides us in life. So when we are in pain and when we are feeling out of alignment, it's painful. We feel frustrated. We feel that we're not moving forward. When we are in alignment, we feel happy. We feel joyful. Everything just flow. So our emotional body is our compass. Is always telling us where we are going in the right direction or we need to redirect, right? And when we don't give space to the emotions, we are missing a big part of the equation, right? And this is when I guide my clients. We work in the mind, which is the mindset, right? The air element. We work on the emotions, which is the water element. We work in the spirit, which is the fire element, and we work in the body, which is the earth element. All of them are important. We are holistic. We are integrative. Like, we are not just mind. And the patriarchy only focuses on the mind. It forgets the body. It forgets the emotion. It forgets spirituality, right? And
Yeah.
and now we're being called to remember that we are a whole being.
Ah, it's so needed. It is so needed. This has been, yeah, this is the healing.
Yeah.
Activating the emotional body. That has been the biggest, most impactful part of the journey with myself and with my clients, is getting people reconnected to their emotional body. And then that helps them reconnect to their spiritual body.
Yes.
But yeah, that emotional piece. I remember being at like a giant convention, and there was like some woman on the stage telling some story. Everybody's crying. Or in my mind, I was looking around and people around me are crying. And I was like, I didn't really get it. Like,